All right, we are live, guys. I wanted to jump on here. Sorry about that. I had some difficulties setting up my live stream today. I apologize about that. Hopefully, you guys will be able to get on. Let me cancel this old link. And this is the one that I shared, unfortunately. But not sure if you're going to be able to get in here today, but it'll be on here after we finish up. And just wanted to go over the some of the comments and the questions that I've gotten in the comment section on YouTube. So let's get to it. And as you join, you could always drop a comment in the chat room as well, and I'll get to you that way also. So let's see here. We're going to share our screen. Okay, this is going to go here. That's going to go there. We're going to get this going really quick. All right, do you guys see that okay? Cool. So let's get to these comments here. All right. So Audrey7716. By the way, everyone that comes in here live as well as comes and watches a little bit later on, I greatly appreciate you tuning in here. Wanted to start doing these lives like once a week to start kind of building up our community here, and just grow a relationship with you guys and try to help us in any way that I can. So first things first, Audrey7716 says, I've come across the velocity banking method and it sounds interesting. However, learning the other options along with the do's and don'ts are beneficial. Great and simple explanation with examples. I love it. Thank you for sharing. Blessings back. All right. Well, I appreciate that, Audrey. Bitwar3585 says, Jay, if I have a HELOC and the market goes down, but I always paid my HELOC on time, can the lender still request a full payment? Or because I don't have any financial issues to pay, they can't do it? Thanks. It's going to depend on the lender, but I am going to be almost positive that pretty much every lender is going to reserve the right to call back that full HELOC balance at any time of their choosing. So that's why I always say to never over leverage and never take money out of the HELOC that you can't beyond worst case scenario, get the money somewhere else to pay it back. That's what we call over leveraging. And I did a recent video on that if you want to check it out. So Adrian Martinez says, can you HELOC on a house that is not your primary residence? My last video was just about this, Adrian, and I'm assuming it's an investment property that you have. I guess it could be a second home as well. I don't know much about HELOCs on second homes. I doubt you could do it. Investment properties, it is getting more and more rare, but there is one bank in particular that does it, TD Bank. I know for sure, depending on which state you're in. I would check out them first and foremost, and also look into your local credit unions. Eric Pacheco Realtor says, and I remember Eric from last time. Jay, I saw you respond to my question. If you wasn't sure and you never heard about it, all-in-one loan. Since you haven't heard about it, I'm curious. Have you looked into it? What are your thoughts? I'm gonna look into that for you, Eric. I apologize, I haven't yet. I don't know what you mean by all-in-one loan. I don't know anything about it. I'll get back to you on that. I promise. Mary Gurung says 4595 says, thank you for the explanation. If I get the $100,000 HELOC, do I have to pay only interest, or I have to pay both interest and principal? Please reply. Thank you. So it looks like someone actually helped answer this for me. So let's see what 27 Monson said. He said, interest only for 10 years. You can pay or add extra towards the principal balance monthly. And after 10 years, you cannot borrow any more from HELOC, and you will have to pay the interest and the principal balance monthly. This is my understanding. You're 100% correct, 27 Monsan, making my life easy. It is interest only for the first 10 years. Now, the time periods can differ a little bit depending on the lender. It could be first 10 years, first 5 years, first 15 years. 9 out of 10 times, it's the first 10 years, though. It's interest only. the minimum payment. But you have to realize, let's say your interest is $500 a month, which is probably about what it would be on $100,000. You're not paying down that principal at all. You're just paying interest. And they can call that HELOC balance back at any time. Belojo247 says, hey, man, thanks for sharing what you know. I'm new to real estate investing, but I have a triplex I bought 2 years ago. My plan is to get a HELOC. I have about $200,000 in equity to purchase an 8-unit property. Good for you. I do not have much extra cash, so my purchase would be entirely based on my HELOC. I've heard that after I use my HELOC for the down payment, I could then do a cash out refi and use that to pay back the HELOC and basically use this as a rinse and repeat method. 100%. We've been over this. We've gone over this a few times, many times on this channel. It seems like we got to get rid of that here. Hold on one second, guys. Let me share the correct way. Go that we don't see my private chats. It seems like doing it this way could ensure that I can pay the HELOC back quickly, which should minimize my risk. I also don't anticipate the interest rates going up too much within the next year. So when I cash out refinance, I should be able to at least get close to the same interest rate, maybe even a bit better. I know it is much more of an increased risk, but I feel like the sooner I do this, the better. What do you think? Is there anything I'm missing? Any advice is appreciated. Thanks. From Belojo247. So, okay, I don't know if that's your name, Belojo, but I'm going to call you Belojo. You can 100% do this. This is basically what would be called the Burr method. Now, I would recommend using your HELOC. Now, first things first, actually, I'm sorry. Let me go back to square one. It says you have a triplex you bought 2 years ago. You want to use a HELOC on that triplex. If you're living there compared to if you're not living there is a big difference. If you're not living there, the HELOC is going to be much harder to get. But let's just assume that either way, you'll be able to get a HELOC. If you have $200,000 in equity, you should be able to get anywhere from $150,000 to $180,000 in a HELOC based on that amount of equity, because they don't give you the full amount. It's a loan to value amount depending on the lender that you choose. Okay, so you want to use the $200,000 of equity in the triplex and put it towards buying an 8-unit property. Awesome. Now, I would make sure that there's some sort of way that you can add value to that 8-unit property. And the reason I say that is because that cash out refinance at the end, if you're not adding value to the property, I mean, unless the deal is like way too good to be true, which generally that doesn't happen. If let's say you buy, I don't know how much you're buying it for. Let's say you're buying it for $2 million, right? You buy it for $2 million, the 8-unit property. If it's like turnkey ready to go, when and why are you going to do a cash out refinance right after? Because it's not going to be worth any more than what you just bought it for, like presumably, right? So where is the money coming from in order to pay off that HELOC balance? So I generally like to use the HELOC either for a down payment or to use to renovate the property. Then once it's all said and done, once all the work is done, you do a cash out refinance, you take that money out. Cash out refinance money goes towards paying off the HELOC. Let's see if you had any sort of other questions I could help you with here. That should be it. Oh, with the interest rates, honestly, who knows? But I have made videos in the past about how we can basically assume with a somewhat reasonable certainty that the interest rates are not going to be much higher this time next year. The Fed has obviously simply just stopped raising them for now. They haven't lowered them. I wouldn't count on them lowering them at all. You always have to plan for worst case scenario. And I know I tend to be a little bit more conservative than some other, YouTube guys out there, but that's just my opinion. If you're trying to underwrite the deal at 10.5% interest rate, just give yourself a little bit of wiggle room, another couple percent, just to make sure that you're protected. But I appreciate the question, and good for you for buying the 8-unit. Tony Turns 9270. I bought in 2020. My house gained $120,000 in equity. I was thinking about pulling out around $45,000 to put down on a property I want to live in and rent my current house I live in now. The rent should cover my mortgage plus up to $1,000 a month toward my HELOC loan. At this rate, the loan will be paid off in a few years if I let my first property pay for the HELOC and original mortgage. After watching a video of those, I'm under the impression it's now a bad idea, being that the rates are consistently changing and I could potentially be in a situation to where the rental income is enough to pay for loan one and the HELOC. What are your thoughts? Am I understanding this correctly? Tony, I appreciate the question. You are understanding this correctly. Listen, it's just my opinion on how to deal with these situations. My main question to you would be, do you have the money elsewhere to pay off the HELOC if you have to, in a retirement account or something like that? If you do, go ahead and do it. If it's only going to take you 3 years to pay off the HELOC, I don't know if those numbers are correct or not, or that time frame is correct or not. I'm taking your word for it. If you don't have the money to pay it off, I wouldn't do it. And the reason for that is you're putting and I don't know your personal situation, obviously, but you're putting your home that you live in and potentially your family lives in, up for grabs in case of a market downturn. I wouldn't do it unless you have the money elsewhere to pay it back in a worst case scenario. That's my opinion, but I appreciate the question. They say, or on Social Security. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming if you're on Social Security, does that help you on a HELOC? Probably not much. Let's call it like it is. Mr. Motley, I appreciate your question. I'd love to see you do a deep dive on each of these strategies. Would make a great video series. Details and examples on mailers and where to get them, or if you're typing up letters yourself, best methods to position yourself for word-of-mouth deals, how to pitch low offers to on-market deals, how to find numbers to cold call, and if you use any scripts. A video of you doing Driving for Dollars. Mr. Motley, I appreciate that. I am going to work on those for you very, very shortly, because those are all excellent ideas to get some more content out there for you guys. Frankly, it gets a little repetitive to me, just being honest, like making these talking head videos. I would like to get out there a little bit more in the car, in front of some properties. And I'm actually in the process of doing that right now. I appreciate the feedback. All right. Nello's Nook 4454. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. All right. Now, Issa Craziness. Hello, my question is, after obtaining the HELOC, I understand that it is 10 years of paying only interest and 10 to settle the debt. It is a term of 20 years, but in that period, your house is already fully paid. Can increase the amount of HELOC since you're... Wait, hold on. I gotta read that again. Hello, my question is, after obtaining the HELOC, I understand that it is 10 years of paying interest only. Yes, correct, most of the time. And another 10 to settle the debt. It's not always 10. It's actually usually another 15, but yours could be 10. Term of 20 years total. Like I said, that could be more, 25. But in that period, your house is already fully paid. Can you increase the amount of HELOC since your mortgage no longer exists? Okay, so it seems like you already have a mortgage that is about to be paid off in the next 20 years, within the next 20 years. Frankly, I wouldn't worry too much about it, because I think you could always go to your HELOC lender and reapply. You could always go to another HELOC lender after a certain period of time of getting the first one. You can go to another one and say, hey, I have this HELOC. The balance is X. What can you do for me now? And just basically start from the beginning. It's almost kind of like back in the day when the interest rates were so low that people kept like refinancing their homes. It could be a similar situation with the HELOC. You're not locked in to that exact HELOC for 20 years. Technically, you could be, but there's always the opportunity to go and reapply if you think the value is much higher now, or what you find a better lender, a more suitable lender for you. You could always use that to get out of that first HELOC. Can we spend 4 hours on your grifts? Get to the point. I'm not sure what Larissa Millsap's 494's problem is today or 5 days ago, but it is what it is. And I think that's really it for today, guys. This guy says, I think the best thing to do is buy Bitcoin. That could be a bot. Very bad recommendations here. Okay, like what? They didn't answer me. SecZ411. I'm so sorry I missed this live. I had to attend a family event. Thank you for answering my question. Educating me. I truly appreciate your advice. Thank you for subbing. I appreciate you. Do you think a lot of people lost their homes in 2008 because of HELOCs? Honestly, it has been so long since 2008, and frankly, I was 19 years old. I was keeping track of the market. My family's always been it was and still is in real estate builders. So I was keeping track of what was going on at the time, but there's only so much Looking back, from with hindsight that we can do now, obviously, I don't know how much of that um, contributed to the 2008 crisis. I think a lot of, or more so of it, was kind of like lenders basically giving money, mortgage lenders giving money to people that couldn't afford the mortgages. That's my opinion, though. But honestly, I haven't looked into it like into in-depth detail in a long time. And Eric, this is back to Eric 6 days ago. I appreciate you, Eric. Like I said, I'm gonna get back to you on this, Eric. This all-in-one loan. I'm gonna check that out. Actually, I'm gonna look it up right now for you. Give me 1 second. All-in-one loan. Let's see if we can find what that is. All-in-one loan is a mortgage product that combines your home financing and personal banking needs into one dynamic tool. It offers a 30-year term, a low rate interest, and an integrated sweep checking account that allows you to access your money at any time. Well, that is very interesting. I have never heard of an all-in-one loan before. Maybe I should. I'm going to look into this, Eric, for you and give you my thoughts. And Tucker Bake 9988 says HELOC on a house that was gifted to me. I think we already went over this the last live, but HELOC on a house that was gifted to me. Yeah, why not? I'm sure it sounds like it's paid off. You can get a HELOC, first lien HELOC. It would be, so it'd be pretty low risk, so that your term should be pretty good. If you guys, do you guys have any questions? Oh, Leo, I'm sorry I missed your chat here. The chat's a little quiet today. Hey Jay, what are your thoughts on using a HELOC or home equity loan to renovate, then sell your property for top dollar? Does having a lien on the house create problems when it comes time to sell? Thanks. All right, I have a good answer for this. Sell your property. Okay, my question would be: is it the property that you're living in right now, or is it some sort of investment property that's vacant that needs work? I guess that those are two separate questions. Do you live there or not live there? And does it need work, or do you want to just try to maximize every dollar? If it like really actually needs work, a lot of work, there could be some sort of financial benefit to using money from a HELOC in order to renovate the property. But I'm talking about like a lot of work. Generally speaking, though, the money that you put into it, you're not going to get it back. And the reason I say that is because I would only do it if it's a property that needs like a shit ton of work. Like if it's almost non-livable. Okay, maybe you want to use a HELOC, you treat it as a flip and you sell it, no problem. The only thing that you would have to be concerned about with that is many HELOC lenders have a policy in place where when you sign up for it, you agree that if you close out that credit line within a certain period of time after applying for it, I think for me it was like 2 or 3 years, you have to pay a penalty. And it was not an insane amount, but it was like $400 for me or something like that. So you will have to pay that if you just got the home equity loan, which it sounds like you would. But other than that, you should be fine. But on the other hand, if you're living in it and like it's just like outdated bathrooms, let me explain the difference between like needs a lot of work and just like needs to be updated. If it's just an outdated bathroom or an outdated kitchen that you have, but still everything's like functional and you're living there, don't mess with any of this. The amount of time and aggravation and stress, you're barely you may break even, you may get something, but even if you get something, it's not going to be worth the benefit, in my opinion. But like I said before, if it's a property that needs a ton of work, if the kitchen is not usable, if none of the appliances work, if the cabinet doors are all broken off, if the bathroom doesn't work, the plumbing doesn't work, then you may want to look into doing something like that. You could basically just treat it as a flip. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate the question. Jove Marks. Thank you, Joe, for questioning and watching today. Welcome. So how soon should you pay the HELOC in full after you use it as a down payment to buy a rental property? I always listen. It's always going to depend on your situation, your personal situation, family situation, your financial situation, and just your appetite for risk. So like you may be single and don't really have very much to cover every month. You may have more of a willingness to risk it all than I would with a family, 2 children, whatever. So everyone's different. They have different appetites for risk at different stages in their life. Let me put that out there. But me personally, I would not hold a HELOC balance for any longer than 2 years. I would say that is absolute max. Generally, I would say even a year and a half. Anything after that, you're especially the way the rates are right now, you're paying a lot of money in interest. So it's meant to be a short-term situation and a short-term loan product and not for long-term. And when you use a HELOC to purchase a property, long-term, you're getting rid of the benefit of real estate and real estate investing. And that's the long-term fixed rate mortgage, because for 30 years, you can lock in the same rate and the same payment while potentially rent goes up and the value of the property goes up. That's the biggest benefit of real estate investing. And if you use your HELOC, paying 10.5% or whatever on your down payment, you're kind of losing a lot of that. Also, make sure that your mortgage lender is okay with you taking the down payment on the HELOC. Usually, the HELOC for a down payment really can only be used on an investment property, not for a primary residence. It's going to depend on the lender, the state that you're in, whatever, but that's my experience. But Jove Marks, I appreciate the question. I appreciate you tuning in. All right, guys. That should be about it. I think that's about all we have today, unless you have anything else. I appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Let me know what you think about these live streams that we're doing here. This is my second one, or our second one. I like to start a discussion with you guys, and that way I could share what I know and you could potentially share what you know with me. I have one set of homework to do from Eric, learning about the all-in-one loan. Maybe I'll actually make a video about that. But let me know what you think about setting up these live streams for maybe once a week, maybe every Thursday at 1 o'clock. Let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you next time.